as we evolve, as we grow, we have to rest. There's no go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve without taking a pause
Mm-mm.
to evaluate and consider where you are. And like you said, make sure that we know where our values lie.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Sharice Williams Show. I am so excited for today's interview. You guys, I shared with you that I'm always going to be bringing you other thought leaders in the industry, and I am so excited and thrilled to bring to you my business bestie, a mom extraordinaire, the incredible and incomparable Jennifer Wheeler, who is a functional medicine practitioner. And so, Jennifer, I know you have so many beautiful titles and hats that you wear, and I'm going to actually ask you to please share with us who you are.
Aw, thank you, Sharice.
You're welcome.
I have been on many podcasts, but I think I'm most excited to be a guest on yours just because
Yay.
of our friendship and our connection as business colleagues and just our ability to engage in conversation on a regular basis and just
Yeah.
inspire each other. So love you dearly. So excited to be a guest on your show.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so
Love you
I
too.
am a nurse practitioner by trade. I've shifted into the functional medicine space years ago. I have a private practice called Mindshift Health. It is a virtual functional medicine practice, and we specialize in women's health optimization. We are gut health experts, but we really work a lot with the science and the soul, right? The idea of digging into the labs, but then also looking at what's going on mentally in that mind-body connection and allowing the individual to really optimize, who they want to be in the world, how they want to feel. And we also are digging a lot into longevity medicine, which we're going to talk a little bit about today, I know.
Yes.
I also am a business mentor for other health practitioners, which I absolutely love. I am a published author, of course, like you said, a mama. It's this multiple hat wearing, multi passionate entrepreneur role that I've learned to embrace.
Yeah,
And I know we're going to chat a lot about that evolution today, which is very near and dear
absolutely.
to my heart. So thank
Oh,
you.
I love it. Yes, you're so welcome. So glad that you're here. And so, yeah, today we're going to talk about intentionality, and we're going to really unpack, the importance of embracing the evolution of entrepreneurship. So, first of all, when you think of intentionality, we'll start with the intentionality piece. When you think about intentionality, what does that look like to you? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's so deep and very intricate. But it's also quite simple.
Right, isn't it?
It is. It really, really is. Like there's so many layers, but then again, there's not, right? So for myself, I got into the functional medicine space because of my own health issues. I had children. I had gone to school and degree and degree and degree. I graduated, got my nurse practitioner degree, was working in primary care, and I just hadn't stopped up until that point. I just kept going. I was always a high achiever. My nurse practitioner master's was my fourth degree and lots of certifications in between. And my body was completely burnt out. And I didn't realize it. I started going to doctors. Here I was a primary care,
Mhm.
practitioner, and I was going to specialists trying to figure out, okay, why have my ongoing gut symptoms for years now exacerbated into major hormonal imbalance?
Yeah.
My mood was all over. I was angry. I wasn't myself. I wasn't Jennifer.
Mhm.
And after much digging, I had no answers in the traditional field, and that's what allowed me to find functional medicine, the idea of, okay, let's dive deeper and find out what's physiologically going on. Where are my imbalances? Where are my deficiencies? How can I optimize those by personalizing my health experience? So I was
Mhm.
essentially my first client.
Yeah.
And
Oftentimes that's how it is, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Any entrepreneur listening will agree.
Yeah.
And my growth and my experience is continues to this day. It is ongoing. So I came into the functional medicine space, started my practice, and I really thought, wow, it really is all about these labs, right? The labs allowed me clarity. The labs allowed me to customize my protocol. So I'm going to do the same for my clients. And very shortly into my experience, I realized it's not just about the labs,
Yeah.
right? There's so
So
much
much more.
more to the individual. And I always had a holistic approach, even in primary care. I was the NP individuals would come see if they wanted to talk about nutrition and lifestyle and sleep and hydration and all the things that are, foundational to a
Mhm.
healthy lifestyle, not just diagnoses and prescriptions. So that was always there, but not in the way that it is now. And I share all this to say that it truly took the experience to understand that even through my health journey and finding all of that out, I realized I wasn't fully living with intention and I had given away that power of intentional choice.
Yeah.
And so, intention for me, I had to kind of hit the reset button and I had to say, whoa, like you have to just take a break and slow down. And I actually had to go back way to the beginning and actually ask myself, do you even know who you are as
Mhm.
a person anymore? We go through life doing the next thing and the next thing, looking at the shiny object syndrome and what's the next achievement, but
Right.
are we losing ourselves in the process? Are we even considering what's important to us when we're making choices about how we're spending our time and our energy?
It's so true. It's so true, Jennifer. It's either what I found is that it's either the shiny object syndrome, so we're always looking, 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 right? And particularly as is this high achieving women,
Yeah.
and or it's that we get to a place where now we're just on autopilot,
Autopilot.
autopilot, and it's not honoring what is really important to us.
Yeah.
And going back to, sometimes we lose ourselves, and it's true. Sometimes it's easy to lose ourselves in the hustle and bustle of building a business, not, excuse me, scaling a business, and even, wearing the multiple hats of motherhood and wife
Mhm.
and
Oh,
this
yeah.
and that. And it's so easy. And we forget our core values.
Yeah,
We forget what our
absolutely.
values, and we put them on the back burner because we're in go mode. And
We are.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
and what I heard you say is that, the burnout is real.
Mhm.
Burnout is real, and it's so important for us to sometimes take a step back to reevaluate what's really most important for us.
My podcast that's launching soon, it's been
Yeah.
on the docket forever, originally was going to be called Rest to Rise,
Oh, I
and,
love that.
it has a different name,
Yeah,
but I was pondering that name for a while for the exactly what you
it's
just
so true.
said. As we evolve, as we grow, we have to rest. There's no go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve without taking a pause
Mm-mm.
to evaluate and consider where you are, and like you said, make sure that we know where our values lie,
Yeah.
what's important to us, because otherwise we wake up each day with 1,000 choices to make in front of us. How are we choosing how to spend our precious time, our energy, our money, our investments,
Mhm.
investing in all of these different ways to experience life? How are we choosing how to live life if we're not considering what's important to us and what we value? Then we're
Yeah,
just blindly choosing, or we're choosing based on what someone else says, or based on the status quo or what society tells us.
right.
And, for me, you asked, the question about intentionality, that's what allowed me to understand that I wasn't living with full intention. It was that experience of, my health declining, and as crazy as it is, I think the experiences in life that always bring me back to living with intention are the hard ones. So, the
Well, they always say we learn in the valley, not the peaks.
Mhm.
And whether that's
Absolutely.
business lessons, whether that's just life lessons, it's something about when we're in the valley, quote unquote, the valley,
Mhm.
whatever the valley is for us, that's where the biggest learning and introspection and growth occurs.
Mhm.
Um, always, always.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah. So
You
that's
find
awesome.
clarity, you
Do.
understand what's important,
Mhm.
it's brought to the forefront because whether you're growing through a trauma or, just a challenging business growth experience or a very busy time, you have to detach from that situation, assess what's actually important, and
Yeah.
then step forward, right? If
Yeah.
you step forward without really assessing the situation and what's important to you and how you wanna move forward, then you're not moving forward in your truth. You're not evolving in a way that's connected.
Right.
to what's meant for you ahead, you know?
Yeah, so
I
true,
think
so true.
I think so many entrepreneurs too, this is something big that turns up not just for my health clients, but for business clients as well, and I'm sure you've had this experience too where they've created something and then they're like, "Wow, this is not really
This
what
is
I
not what I
wanna
want.
do." Yeah.
Exactly. It's like,
It's
I
like, how
thought
does
this is
that
what I wanted,
happen?
but you know what's interesting? You're so right, but it's interesting because we are ever evolving. It once was something that we wanted, like,
Yes.
the older version of us wanted that, but because
Yeah.
we've continued to grow and evolve, and now we find ourselves here, right, a more evolved version of ourselves, and then we reevaluate like, "Oh, yeah, I actually don't want this right now," and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
And that is okay, and actually not only is it okay, it's actually part of the journey.
Part of the journey, yeah.
And the mistake would be to and I see this a lot too. It's like, "Well, I developed all of this, and so I don't wanna switch gears." It's like,
I don't wanna leave this
"No."
behind. Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
sometimes what's necessary is that we do put something to rest. We sunset something so that we can move into our next season and the next iteration of what it is that we created.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause I know you've experienced that. Talk to us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
so many times,
Yeah,
and
right?
one of the things I've learned with that along the way as an entrepreneur
Mhm.
is not to get too caught up in the day-to-day decisions because it's not gonna make too much of a difference
Difference
in the
later
long
on.
run. Yeah,
I know. Isn't it funny how
it's
long
so
like,
funny.
even if you listen even if you think back to some of our conversations
Yeah,
that we've belabored, like, "Do you think I should do this or this? Or does this sound better or this sound better?" And then
it's
6
like
months
the
later,
tiniest
it's
little thing.
irrelevant. But
Ah,
it feels so important in the moment,
in the
right?
moment,
And so,
yeah.
we just honor it, but I think that's a really valid point that you bring up. It's like nothing is ever final.
Yeah.
Everything is ever evolving,
Mhm,
and we can get so kind of caught up in the I don't want to say minutia, but sometimes we can get caught up in all of the details,
mhm.
and that will actually serve as like a barrier or a distraction from us moving forward.
Yeah.
When it really shouldn't be, because again, it's gonna change as we change and evolve. It whatever the it is going to change and evolve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, when
part
I
of
first
business.
started out yeah,
It's just like,
I thought, "Okay, well, I'm coming from primary care. I've worked on reversing diabetes and heart disease and all of that in the primary care setting, so that's what I'm gonna do as a practitioner online." So
mhm,
I started, marketing myself in that way and really realizing it wasn't quite aligned, and then I,
yeah,
shift a little bit and spoke a little bit more to, women's health, and
mhm,
I realized, well, I actually love talking about, the foundation of the gut microbiome and that, that basis, that foundation of health, because the gut impacts our mood and our hormones and our brain
everything.
health and everything.
Everything.
And while I still believe that to be true, the evolution of the practice has just led me to follow my heart, and I'm diving more into vitality and feminine vitality for women and
Yeah,
really allowing women to embrace their growth, their potential, both in their health and in their life and in their business. And so I if I hadn't paused to rest and reconnect and hear like what my brain and my heart are saying, I wouldn't have been able to understand that and see what's coming in the future and
yeah,
plan for that and expand upon that. So it really has been these moments of reconnecting to self that have allowed me to continue on the path that, is evolving as we speak. You know,
mhm,
if I would have kept
mhm.
going and going, it would not have, it wouldn't have connected. I would be living a life and creating a business that's not meant for me,
Yeah, that's not that you're no longer aligned with.
that I'm no longer aligned with, right?
Yeah, and you know what? And you said so many beautiful things, and I just really wanna make the distinction because what you said was as I was in motion, in essence. You said, as I was, I thought I wanted to focus on this, but as I was moving forward, focused on this, I discovered I wanted to focus more on women's health. And as you did that, you discovered that you wanted to kind of, shift slightly into gut health. And then even as you're doing that, you discovered. And so a lot of times
Mhm.
it's because, and you see this all the time. I know we've had discussion about this. A lot of times, practitioners will say, well, I don't know what I want to do yet. So I'm going to figure it out first. And it's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
You don't that's it's it kind of feels or sounds counterintuitive, but the way that you do, quote unquote, figure it out is by being in motion. You
Right.
would have never come to the conclusion that you really have such a strong desire for, optimization and anti-aging and all of that
Mhm.
had you not gone through the iterations of, okay, going backwards now from gut health, women's health,
Mhm.
chronic disease. And so yeah,
You
you
have to be
not
in
have to be, you
motion.
get to be in motion. And
Yeah.
that's, Jennifer and I are really, we are very, very much focused on it. We understand the importance of the words that come
Mm,
out of our mouths. And that's why we're
mhm,
kind of giggling. But
mhm.
just really understanding that you don't figure it out by sitting on the sideline.
Right,
You figure it out in the doing,
right.
and allowing it to evolve and reassessing, like you said, taking a rest
Mhm.
and then reassessing. But you can't rest when you haven't done anything.
Right.
You got to be in motion.
You have to be in motion, and I think that's the hardest part for somebody who, I do have some perfectionist tendencies,
Oh yeah.
and I wanna get things right. I wanna put out a good brand, a good look, a feel, and so it's been challenging, when you're creating a business, it can be very challenging because you're stuck in a position where you're looking at every little piece of it and making sure it's perfect before it gets out there. And exactly what you're saying, Charisse, is you have to feel into it, make a decision, move forward, and then that's going to help reveal to you if it's right or
Exactly.
if it's a learning. We say
Exactly.
there's no right or wrong.
It's
It's
all right
right
or
or
win,
learning,
win or
right?
learn. Yeah, win or
Yeah, win
learn.
or learn.
I love it.
You even
Yeah.
use that with your kids, I remember,
I
right?
do, absolutely, and
I
it's
love it.
true. It's no because and I think even reframing and choosing to use different vocabulary allows you to kind of take the pressure off. When you look at
Yeah.
things as a win or a lose, nobody wants to lose. And so a lot of times that'll keep us from making a decision, period. It prevents us from moving forward. But when you look at it as, and if you really reframe it as, it's either going to be a win, meaning it's going to turn out the way I expected it to, or it's going to be a learn, meaning it didn't quite turn out. But again, I learned something in the process. So that way, when I attempt to do it again, I now have the that wisdom to move
Yeah.
forward with.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's never lose, never lose.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, oh, go ahead. You're going to say something.
No, go ahead. No, I'm good. Go
I
ahead.
was going to ask you,
Yeah.
going back to the intentionality piece. What are some of
Yeah.
the things that, when you look at the course of your day, even how you start your day,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you are very intentional about to help preserve and amplify your mental, emotional, even physical health. So that way you can
Yeah.
perform better, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a mom and a wife and all the things.
Beautiful question. And these things are so important and ever evolving. And I think I have this conversation daily with my health clients
Mhm.
because it's definitely a personal choice. There's going to be so many recommendations out there, right? And I'll share some with you that have worked well for me. But I cannot encourage and empower enough, the concept that this is about you, your personal, your bio individual, your experience, your lifestyle. This is about who you are. So at the very core of intentional living is living intentionally for who you are and what feels right for you. And
Yes.
you'll know when something doesn't feel right for you. I'll joke around a little bit, but my husband's really into the cold plunge right now.
Well,
And
I've seen that.
he keeps trying to get me to go like at 5 a.m. I'm like, that doesn't feel right for me. Now I've done it a couple times after a nice hot jog outside in the sun, and that's felt
Yeah.
great. But no, all jokes aside, I 100% prioritize my morning and evening routines. Now, I don't always get it perfect, but I will say, as you mentioned, it's not just about performing well and showing up and having a clear, focused, creative mind for business flow, but also who I am as a parent. I
Mhm.
want to be a mom that is able to connect with her children, who is present with her children and
Yes.
not bouncing from a million things. And I'm very mindful as well. I work hard almost every day to try to reduce the amount of times that my children see me on my phone,
Mhm.
because mommy works on her phone and her computer for a living. So that can be very challenging for us as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So But I prioritize my morning and evening routine. So some of the things that I love are just setting that circadian rhythm with allowing your eyes to see the sunlight first thing in the morning. It can 100% help balance the release of melatonin later in the evening for a restful night's sleep.
Mhm.
And it's one of the foundations of healthy living and longevity, having a very solid sleep cycle and having one where you rise mostly the same time every day. You really want to try to aim for that and go to sleep at the same time every day. It really, really helps to balance that circadian rhythm. And so the morning routine for me, sunlight, it includes hydration, my oral hygiene routine, and making my matcha in a very
You and your matcha.
ritual. I
I
like my
know,
little
it's so
ritual of it, my mug and the warmth, or in the summer, it's always
Yeah.
over ice. So
Mhm.
it's about curating that experience that feels really good for
Yeah.
you. And my evening routine, I struggle with a little bit more because I've always been just innately a night owl, but we shift away from seeing screens to more
Yeah.
reading and trying to connect and reading books with our children. And one of the most important things that's helped a lot is shifting the lights in our home to be less
Mhm.
bright after the sun goes down.
Yeah. Do you
So
have a dimmer? Do you have a dimmer, or do you just turn off some of the lights?
yeah, some rooms have dimmers, but then
Mhm.
also salt lamps. We love the
Oh,
glow
yes.
of the salt lamps.
So
So that's
soothing
yeah.
and
So
peaceful, yeah.
little things like that.
Mhm.
I know with my energy, movement every day is a necessity for me to release stored up energy, but it
Yes.
doesn't have to be intense. Walks and low to moderate interval intensity exercise has worked really well for me. Optimizing my hydration. I do some routines for gut health and I have little supplement protocols. I have all my little adaptogenic
Yeah.
mixers that I
Yes.
use. So I really like this idea of making our habits and our rituals and our routines kind of like this love story to ourselves, you know?
Yes. Someone said to me, this was many years ago. They were trying to impress upon me the importance, not just me. It was a group. We were in a group setting, but the importance of discipline.
Yes.
And something about the word discipline just never really like sat right with me.
Yeah.
But but what I took from that is devotion. I'm like, I could be devoted
Yeah.
to doing making things fun and
Yes.
lovely and enjoyable and pleasurable. Just
Yes.
even how I know that you love your matcha, right? And you've got me drinking matcha now, you know. I love it. It's so funny I had it and I never really used it,
Yeah.
but now anyway, I just have this brand that I just love. And but really taking the time to just be present
Yes.
in the moment with those little things, be intentionally, being present in the moment and enjoying the experience of whisking the matcha and
Yeah.
enjoying the experience of walking. I know a lot of times we're on the phone together, walking or in the morning or jogging, whatever the case may be. But
Uh-huh.
really, again, not just doing it because it's something we quote unquote should do,
Should do. Right.
but doing it because this is what's in alignment with me. This is what helps me to, you know, rejuvenate.
Yes.
This is what allows me to enjoy, experience pleasure, and things like I said, as simple as a matcha. Or
Yes.
sitting outside, or
Yes.
whatever, or the salt lamps, like literally, and allowing yourself to gaze through the glow of that salt lamp, and I think it's such
Yeah.
an important conversation that we're having because, in the context of business, because oftentimes the narrative that we see a lot of, and I love that we're on the same page with this, and really trying to shift that narrative. But the predominant narrative that's out there, it's like, oh, blood, sweat, and tears to the detriment of your health, and your kids will understand, and give them an iPad while you're working.
Mhm.
And I mean, right? That's what we
Yeah.
hear. That's what
That's
we
what we
see, and that's
hear.
and
Yeah.
that's what's kind of been painted. That's the picture that's been painted. Like that's the expectation. If you want to have a multi six figure and seven figure business, then you've got to throw everything off to the wind and just
Right.
focus on that. And that's
No.
not it.
That's
That ain't
not
it.
it.
That's
No,
not
we
it at all.
we try to incorporate the kids and teach them about, what mom and dad are doing and this
Yeah.
entrepreneur life that we have. And, when they see you living in a certain way and committed to those routines, it's so
Mhm.
important. Um, 2 things that came on my
Yeah.
heart when you were sharing. So I was at a recent event for female entrepreneurs. It was a connection event. It was absolutely lovely. And, they oftentimes will ask, what's one thing that you're working through or need some feedback on? So I have this, kind of this vision that I have for something for the future and just trying to figure out if that's a good path to take. And, so the prompt that they gave me was, what brings you joy? There's one thing, like if right off the top of your head, like what brings you joy? And, obviously there's the answers like my kids and that kind of stuff, but
Mhm.
music is my thing. Like
Yeah.
music is my connection piece.
Yeah.
And so they told me, they're like, play music, sing music, like whatever you do, do your
Do more of
music,
that.
listen to music every day,
Mhm.
because then like whatever that thing is that really brings you so much joy, if you do that on a regular basis, you're gonna just be so much more connected to
So true.
self,
And
and
you
like that
create.
true expression of yourself.
Yeah. I love that.
Um,
Thanks for sharing that part. There
yeah,
was something else you were gonna share.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the discipline, right?
Yeah.
So the discipline, I love that word devotion and how, that's what you took from that. That's so beautiful. I talk a lot about alignment, intention, and discipline, right?
Mhm,
But when
mhm.
I teach about discipline, I'll often say, don't be disciplined to, like you said, the structure or the I have to do this or the
Right.
to-do list. Think about being disciplined to whatever it is that you need in that given time or that day or that
Mhm.
energy or that space, right? It's saying, like, I'm not going to do the workout just because I have it listed on my calendar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the workout if that's what my body needs, but if your body needs rest that day and you need to go to
Honor
sleep
it.
2 hours early, you go ahead and be disciplined to honor your body, to
That's it.
honor what you need.
Yeah.
So, it
Yeah.
kind of matches very nicely with the devotion piece,
Yeah. I
and to
love
tie it
that.
all in, I think that's the way we continue on our evolution, just
I
really staying connected to self, right?
I agree. It's so true. It is so true. I love that. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, you have shared so many beautiful things with us, and you have to come back. I'm just saying that
Would love to.
you have to come back. And any final words as we bring this to an end? Again, we talked about intentionality and the importance of it. We talked a lot about even honoring who
Mhm.
you are in the moment and being okay and understanding that life and particularly business is an evolution.
Yeah,
It is in continuous evolving in a continuous evolving state,
yeah.
and just being able to embrace that, being willing to embrace the evolution of entrepreneurship. Any final words that you want to share before we wrap for this episode?
Yeah, I'll just say, on the along the lines of the alignment, intention, and discipline, whether it's health goals, whether it's growth and entrepreneurship, whether it is the desire to be more present and connected to those that you love. When you think about alignment, ask yourselves the questions: who I am, what do I value most in this life, right?
Yeah.
And then that becomes your lens, that's your veil. And then you get to wake up each day and choose with intention to honor who it is you are and what you value. And then the third piece of discipline comes through where we can say, I'm going to be disciplined and use some consistency and use, my gut strength and say, I'm going to do this for myself and I'm going to honor myself through those choices, whether I need rest or whether I need to continue to grow.
Yeah, love that. Love
Mhm.
that. Thank you for sharing that. I love how you're showing up in the world. I love the impact that you're making.
Thank
I
you.
love
You as
how you're
well.
changing the way that we do health, and I love that you're changing the narrative around what is required and what it looks like to be a successful nursepreneur. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for how
much
you
for
share
having
the world.
me.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. And with that, you guys, oh Jennifer, how can people find you? I know that people are listening.
Oh.
They're like, oh, I need
Yes.
more of her.
So, my website is jenniferwheeler.co, and then my Instagram handle is jenniferwheeler.np for nurse practitioner. Yeah,
Awesome.
so you
I
can
know you
reach
have
out to me there. Everything I do is listed on there, and Instagram, you can just message me. I love getting a message from you guys and hearing from everyone and how they're growing, and if I can support you in any way, it'd be my honor.
perfect, perfect. And what I'll do is I'll make sure that we link those. We'll link it in the show notes so that way they don't have to go
Yeah.
search and find it.
Yes.
So,
Thank
all righty,
you.
my dear. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Sharice Williams Show. Until next time, make sure that you're living intentionally.
Oh, beautiful. Bye.